are we?
Okay, 18.
10, 11, 18. Do you understand? Comprenez anglais?
Ça va.
Little. Ok. Si vous avez des questions, vous pouvez me demander pendant la classe si vous ne comprenez pas. Si on peut parler qu'une seule langue, c'est plus facile.
I prefer the English.
Ok. Très bien. Can you read this on the board? Do you understand? Dhuli dusham Dhuli dusharitangastam Putramarjanam avaha Putramarjanam avaha Marksham teja bhavati Janmarksham teja bhavati Viprepyo dehiga shuchihi Viprepyo dehiga shuchihi Dhuli dusaritangastam Putramarjanam avaha Janmaksham teja bhavati Viprepyo dehiga shuchihi
Dhuli dusaritangastam
Putramarjanam
Janmarksham tedyo bhavati Viprebhyo dehigatsuchihi
Dhuli dusharitangastam
Putramarjanam avaha
Janmaksham tedya bhavati Viprebhyo dehiga suchihi
Viprepyo dehiga shuchihi. One more. Dhuli dusaritangastam
Putramarjanam avaha
Putramarjanam avaha
Janmarksham tedya bhavati
Janmarksham teja bhavati
Viprebhyo dehiga suchihi
Viprepyo dehiga shuchihi. Ladies. Difficult to read. Dhuli dusarita long one. Dhuli dusarita angatvam. You have become covered
We have become covered
with dust and sand
with dust and sand
all over your body.
all over your body.
Putra,
Putra,
my dear son.
my dear son,
Majjanam avaha.
Vajranavaha,
Now come here.
now come here,
Take your bath
take your bath
and cleanse yourself.
and cleanse yourself.
Janmariksham,
Janmariksham,
the auspicious star of your birth. Te,
Te,
of you.
of you,
Adya,
Adya,
today.
today,
Bhavati,
Bhavati,
it is.
it is,
Viprebhyaha,
Viprebhyaha,
unto the pure Brahmanas.
unto the pure Brahmana.
Dehi,
Dehi,
give in charity. Gaha,
Gaha,
cows. Dehi,
Suchihi,
being purified.
being purified.
Mother Yashoda further told Krishna, "My dear son, because of playing all day, your body has become covered with dust and sand. Therefore come back, take your bath and cleanse yourself. Today the moon is conjoined with the auspicious star of your birth. Therefore be pure and give cows in charity to the Brahmanas." In other words, it's Krishna's birthday here. Purport: it is a custom of Vedic culture that whenever there is any auspicious ceremony, one should give valuable cows in charity to the Brahmanas. Therefore, Mother Yashoda requests to be enthusiastic in charity. Yajna dhana chajam karyam eva tat. As advised in Bhagavad Gita 18.5. Sacrifice, charity, and austerity should never be given up. Yajno dhanam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam. Even if one is very much advanced in spiritual life, one should not give up these three duties: to observe one's birthday ceremony, one should do something in terms of one of these three items: yajna, dhana, or tapa, or all of them together. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Purane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavahi Paschacharya Shakarina Vancha Kalpatarupyascha Krita Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So I don't know how old Krishna is here. Maybe some of you know. What is his age? It's not very old because he's playing around. So this idea that you should give something to others on your birthday is very foreign to us in the West, isn't it? We want gifts.
Used to receiving.
Just like Christmas used to be a celebration where you give gifts to God, you give to Jesus. Just like the three wise men from the East, who soon is the celebration of when the three wise men came. Actually, Jesus Christ's birth is not the 24th or 25th. It was just joined with a heathen tradition that we already had for a long, long time. That we will celebrate the light, the coming of the light, that the light, the sun is moving again in, what is that, in the southern direction, right? It's going northern?
It's going to northern hemisphere.
I'm not an astrologer or anything like that, but the days are getting longer from the 22nd of December. The days will get longer and longer. So that was celebrated before. And Jesus' birthday is actually, I'm not sure, I'm not Orthodox Christian, but around the 12th, I think, 6th or 12th, I cannot remember, when the three wise, the three sages from the East, they came to give gifts to Jesus. That was, I think, the 6th of January. That was yesterday. I can't remember if it's 6th or 12th. So that's actually the birth of Jesus. And the Orthodox Christians, they celebrate on that day. So the point is that on the birthday, on your birthday, in the Vedic sense, culture, you have to give to others. No, I want to have a birthday cake. I don't know if maybe you also receive, probably. Right? I don't know how you said. In India, people, they don't even know when they're born. At least your parents' generation, right?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But like my wife's mother, she doesn't know exactly. She knows the year or not? Not even
She
the
knows
year.
approximately how old she is.
So that's very different cultures. Of course, the Western culture, which is not so wonderful actually, is also being absorbed in countries like India more and more. Even when Prabhupada was actually the first person to do book distribution in our movement. We're just reading about when he was in 1956, he was distributing a 4-page version of the Back to Godhead in New Delhi, and that's a hardcore book distributor. He was doing it in the winter. Sometimes he couldn't even take breakfast. He was so poor, and he was even almost killed by a cow. He put the horn in the side of. It actually gored him, and Prabhupada was just lying on the street, unconscious, couldn't get up, and he got heat stroke. So that's a serious book distributor. But the point is that even when Prabhupada was preaching even before the 50s, even in the very beginning, the first issue of Back to Godhead was 1944. That was during the war. And even at that time, or even in the 30s, Prabhupada noticed how India is changing and more adopting the Western culture. Somebody asked Gandhi, "What do you think about Western culture?" He said, "It's a good idea." It will be a good idea, you understand? We have no culture. We may not be able to admit that we are so fallen, but that's a fact. We are very fallen. Our whole culture is very fallen. And we can learn many things from even ordinary Hindus, ordinary Indian people. Just being with them, you can learn how to behave like a human being. That's in the beginning I thought, anyway, these, I don't care, or yes, I'm a Hare Krishna, all this Hindu thing, or superstition, Like we had one boy from Sylhet, from Bangladesh, Sanjay Singha. He was live in the temple. We picked him up in the street, basically. He was living with some Muslims. They were mistreating him in Norway. He could not chant his japa. He could not have any picture of Krishna. So we said, "Come and move in," immediately. So he would say things like, if he would stand in this room and I would stand outside the door, he said, "We cannot speak like this. Either you come in or I come in. Because the doorstep, this is the abode of Lord Shiva. You know this culture? Yeah, you know. And if you speak like this, you are offending Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva, he lives on the border, right? He is not in the spiritual world, he is not in the material world, he is between. So I thought, this is just some Hindu superstition. I'm an ISKCON devotee, you know. I know better. But I started to, it's not all superstition. I think there's some superstition maybe, probably a lot also. But many nice things that's coming from the Vedic culture. Like here, Krishna, he had to, there are 3 things that is supposed to be done on your birthday. Yajna, sacrifice. Dana is charity. And tapa, austerity. So it's usually not at all what we expect on our birthday, is it? We have I worked in kindergartens where, especially in the West, the birthday is, even for a small kid, it's so important. He was getting a king's crown. Like, now you're really in the center. It's just like you're developing his false ego more. He gets the crown, and in our kindergarten where I worked, he would get a cape, you know, like a red cape. Like now he was like the king. And then of course he would get cake and he would, but then I was strict. I was in charge in that kindergarten and I was strict. So he had to eat his ordinary food before he got the cake. And by the way, everything was prasadam because I was cooking. So he had to eat the ordinary food and he didn't want. So he didn't get his birthday cake. I was very strict. And I was working very hard to make him at least eat a little bit. You cannot just eat cake, you know. Of course, I'm not a good example. Sometimes I just eat cake.
He
But
eats tiramisu for breakfast.
so anyway, then his parents came and they immediately ruined all the work I had done and they gave him the cake. And I thought, no, I've been trying and trying. If they would cooperate, then he would learn it. But because they were spoiling him rotten like that, he just ate the cake that I had been keeping aside. So that's how they get spoiled, you know. Of course, Prabhupada said that we should spoil, the kids should be spoiled until, I think, the age of 5 or something. But when Prabhupada says spoiled, he doesn't mean spoiled like we understand. Spoiled doesn't mean he can do whatever he wants. Spoiled means that you give a lot of love, good food. There's a purport where he says he should be showered in love from his mother, being given constant attention, good food, good clothes, but he should not just do whatever he likes. He should eat at the proper time, go to bed at the proper time, and so on, and not throw the food everywhere. Like we see Western kids sometimes. They have this, you know, this thing that's around, it's almost like a gutter. What do you call it?
Bavoir.
Hmm?
Un bavoir.
Bavoir, en français. You know what I mean? Sometimes made of plastic. And it's like a gutter here to catch the food. And sometimes it's full. And I have seen kids where the whole face is full of food, and there's food on the floor, and they throw the food everywhere. So they should be taught how to eat properly also. if you see many times Indian children, they may eat with their hands, but it's very nicely. They don't put the food everywhere. And you can also confirm this, that her mother, my wife's mother, she taught them how to eat every rice grain. And I can see that, because when she's eating, you don't have to clean the plate afterwards. It's already clean. So again, it's a different culture. You respect prasadam, you honor prasadam, because it's coming from Krishna, so you should not throw it out. And maybe we haven't learned that yet, because in our childhood, if we haven't learned it, then when we are adults, we may throw out so much prasadam now, because we don't have this training that this is to be respected, and we may not have been growing up in a very rich family. It's actually considered sometimes in the West that if you eat everything, it's not considered to be cultured. Because if you're rich, then you should leave something on the plate. It's like a sign of being rich, but it's horrible. I read in Norway, that was like 10, 15 years ago, they throw away, now I'm not sure, I think it was at least 1/4 of all the food is thrown in the bin. And this is only households, in the ordinary households. They're not counting the industry, the restaurants, and all that. So I think we throw away in the West maybe 50% of all the food. Maybe. And that's
Especially if you count the farming, also it's also a lot of waste there.
yeah. And in the shops, in the supermarket, if there is something that's over the date which is written, they cannot sell it. Even if there's nothing wrong with the food, it just gets thrown out. Or sometimes the customers, they don't like that the cucumbers are bent. I have heard that. So they throw out the cucumbers. Now in France, I don't know, but in Denmark, if you want, you can go and take all the stuff that's thrown in the container. You're allowed. So some people do that. And you get very good things. There's nothing wrong with them. So we are wasting a lot in the West. And there is a proverb from the Bible that waste not, want not. If you waste, the karmic reaction is you will not get enough to eat in the future. So think about that. And we're also wasting. It's like a gift. Krishna gives us something. And how would you feel if you were I would give you something, and you take a bite, or maybe you just throw it out in the bin in front of me? How would you feel? It's like,
Yeah, it's insult.
Hare Krishna. So like that, Krishna is giving us gifts in the form of food, in the form of other things. So we should accept it, appreciate, this is coming from Krishna. Thank you, Krishna. And then we should honor it by eating it and not waste. So maybe you have some questions or comments? Yeah.
About this food waste. So, but we also see that from the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that there was food waste there. That there was maybe quite a lot of food waste, because even the cows would not eat it, so that Raghunath farmers eat the things which the cows wouldn't eat. So even at that time, there was food waste.
But not like now. Not so much.
No.
It's not like now.
Much less.
It's like unbelievable waste of food.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe they would just feed the, I don't know. Maybe they were just giving some food to the cows for, like, serving the cows by giving them some prasadam. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think they would waste as we are doing now. I have a hard time believing that. They even waste food so that for business reasons they dump food in the ocean. You have heard about this?
Yeah.
Just to keep the price, whatever.
Higher.
Yeah.
Or in McDonald's, McDonald's is known the food like lasts like eternity. It's like 10 years. The cheeseburger looks same, and they have some rule. Really, and they have some rule. They make like these cheeseburgers, and if they are more than like 20 minutes, they will throw them out.
Yeah.
But it's nothing happened to the food because some people like just left somewhere the cheeseburger, and after 5 years they found it and it looks same. Even bacteria can eat it, So and it's normal. Normally nowadays some shops have some cheaper prices. They have some like boxes and some packages with food what is like older and sell them for lower price. But in McDonald's doesn't do this.
Yeah, they modify the food, the whole structure of the food.
Yeah.
Like in France, they have this sterilized milk. I have not seen in other countries before. This is not milk.
The boxed milk.
It's called lait stérilisé,
Yeah, it's a little.
and it's not in Denmark.
No?
I have never seen it.
We are from Czech Republic and we have also this type of milk, but this is just water.
It's horrible. It has nothing to do with milk.
Yeah.
They take it apart and they remove all the life, and it can last a long time, but that's the only good quality.
And without fridge also.
Yeah, it can last a long time outside of the fridge. But just like in my wife's hometown, Chinsura, it's close to Calcutta. Even now, they are getting fridges, but before the fridges, the system was you go every morning to the market and you eat fresh food. And even now they still have the culture. The first thing that, even I'm still lying in my bed almost, I hear this man shouting, "Dahi, Dahi." He's coming, he's selling yogurt on the bicycle rickshaw, So this culture is still there, you buy fresh food. But we hardly have fresh food as we had before, it's horrible.
And actually, according to Ayurveda, the food what is cooked is longer than 3 hours. It's cooked to the quality of tamas.
Yeah.
And it's not for prasadam, but for normal food. And if you see the Indian food, they don't have like classic bread. They have like classic bread here. They have like chapatis, puris, samosas, and eat it immediately.
Yeah.
And
okay, I like bread, so.
Yeah, I also like that, but I thinking about that, it's getting mold. Even you don't see immediately, but it's get mold after like some 5-10 hours maybe.
Of course, I know the purport where Prabhupada says this in Bhagavad Gita, but he also says that prasadam is different, but I think we should eat fresh food. Like this is a lecture for the cooks.
Actually,
because if you cook too much, you have a lot of remnants.
Yeah, you can do it at home.
And then it may not get eaten. So then you just cook less. And then you don't have to throw out so many things, and you can eat fresh.
Because when you heat it up, it gets cooked again, and it loses the taste.
Yeah.
Like khichdi, it's already nicely cooked. Then if you want to heat up, it gets cooked again, and it's just like a porridge.
Yeah, fresh food is the best, and especially Indian culture, they eat fresh food always. Like if you come to an Indian family, they will make the chapatis or puris or whatever, and you'll get them straight out of the pot, right? So that you get them as fresh as possible.
And we know from Prabhupada's servants like Harishauri Prabhu, if Prabhupada wants like some chapati or puri, it must be like completely fresh directly directly from fire. Or
Yeah, but if you think about it, chapatis that are not fresh,
it's gone.
it's not so interesting. So this is connected with Krishna, because Krishna has a culture, and it's a great culture, and I think we have many things to learn, especially from the West. You Indians, you already have many things in the blood. So I think we can learn from you. We can learn from each other, actually. What did Prabhupada said? That the West is blind and the East is lame. So the lame, what is it? The blind man, the West, should take the Eastern man like on his shoulders or something, so that he can show the way. But we have some power, maybe. We have some resources. We are able to do many things. Of course, India is becoming a superpower now also. So we should cooperate. We should always cooperate. I heard Prabhupada said that bhakti means cooperation. And I think this is our greatest challenge, to cooperate. Sometimes you cannot cooperate. You cannot cooperate with everyone. I think that I don't think that's possible. But you should cooperate where you can, and that is how we show our love for Prabhupada and Krishna. So, any other questions? One more?
About the birthday, but we also see from this past time when Brahma stole the government boys, that Balaram wasn't there because they kept him home because he was celebrating his birthday that day.
Balaram?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So there must have been some kind of celebration, or, I don't know, for the kids also.
Yeah, I think so.
And when Krishna was born, when everybody is born, of course, the father, he will go give the charity.
Mm.
But then all the ladies came and they brought also gifts for the baby. But it was just on that day. I don't know if they will repeat it every year. But for at least at the birthday, the real birthday, the baby would receive gifts.
Yeah. I think it's not either or. I think it's too much attention to the false ego, the way we do it nowadays. We can be a little more balanced, maybe. I think in India, the most important, now it's becoming like the West, but the most important thing to remember was Krishna's birthday and Guru. And your birthday is less important. That's the mentality that it's a God-centered, not self-centered culture. But you also receive, we have this, in Krishna consciousness, we have these exchanges, right? That you give gifts, but you also receive gifts. Some people cannot receive, they can only give, or some people can only receive, they cannot give. So we have to be able to do both. Because if someone gives you something, you have to say thank you and accept. So like that, reciprocation, right? It's a good culture. Okay? Srimad Bhagavatam, keep that.